Hello my lovelies! Today I have another book haul for you, so stay tuned. So I have 30 books to show you today. Yeah, I've got a lot. So let's see. I have a book that I ordered from Amazon, a book that came in a subscription box, one book that I actually swapped out something from my little free library. I have a couple of books from my coffee patrons that I paid for, but they got to pick out. And then I have 4 that were gifts. I have 8 that I purchased from Barnes & Noble during their 50% off all hardbacks in store. And then this whole stack here are books that I pre-ordered from both Book Depository and Barnes & Noble, and I can't remember which ones they came from. So yeah, I'm gonna bring you a little bit closer and we're gonna get right into this. Okay, so let's start with the one book that I got from Amazon. That is The Valentine's Hate by Sydney Halston. This is a short little rom-com. It's like 260 pages. This says, a delightful enemies to lovers fake engagement rom-com themed around Valentine's Day. Jennifer Lopez's new movie Marry Me meets Aaron Sterling's holiday-themed The Ex-Hex. Cupid only strikes once. At least that's what Lizette Alonso believes. Ever since the most disastrous Valentine's Day of all time, she has hated all things V-Day. But Lizzie's best friend is having prenuptial festivities for a week leading up to her February 14th wedding, and Lizette is taking her maid of honor duties seriously. Maybe too seriously. Of course, who is the first person she runs into on the way to the wedding? None other than her childhood nemesis, Brian Anderson, the reason for all her Valentine's Day hatred. Brian knows he's messed up with Lizzie, but give him a break. He was just a kid who was trying to look cool, and Lizzie regularly pushed all his buttons, both in school and out of it. He's always been gruff and grumpy, but these days, Brian is much better off with his writing. Fictional characters never talk back, unlike Lizzie, who always has something to say. Now the two are back under the same roof and bickering like old times, except that Brian has bigger problems than dealing with Lizzie's verbal sparring. Someone Brian is desperate to avoid shows up, and somehow Lizzie gets roped into pretending to be dating him. Then suddenly, the simmering anger blossoms into something extra spicy. And I think this sounds like so much fun. Okay, so this next book is not this. This is actually a fake cover. This was one of the gifts in one of my Once Upon a Book Club unboxings. And it wasn't the original book, but it was a book that was referred to in the story. And so they put a fake cover of that book on here. But what this actually is Murder at Malloween Hall by Colleen Cambridge. And this says, in this delightful new historical mystery series, Phillida Bright, housekeeper and amateur sleuth, discovers a body in the library and a mystery to baffle even her famous employer. Tucked away among Devon's rolling green hills, Mallowin Hall combines the best of English tradition with the modern conveniences of 1930. Housekeeper Phillida Bright, as efficient as she is personable, manages the large household with an iron fist in her very elegant glove. In one respect, however, Mallowin Hall stands far apart from the other picturesque country houses. The manor is home to archaeologist Max Mallowin and his famous wife, Agatha Christie. Phillida is both loyal to and protective of the crime writer, who is as much friend as employer. An aficionado of detective fiction, Phillida has yet to find a gentleman in real life half as fascinating as Miss Agatha's Belgian hero, Hercule Poirot. But though accustomed to murder and its methods as frequent topics of conversation, Phillida is unprepared for the sight of a very real, very dead body on the library floor. A former army nurse, Phillida reacts with practical common sense and a great deal of curiosity. It soon becomes clear that the victim arrived at Malowin Hall under false pretenses during a weekend party. Now Phillida not only has a house full of demanding guests on her hands, along with a distracted, anxious staff, but hordes of reporters camping outside. When another dead body is discovered, this time one of her housemaids, Phillida decides to follow in M. Poirot's footsteps to determine which of the Malowin's guests is the killer. With the help from the village's handsome physician, Dr. Bott, Mr. Doble, the butler, along with other household staff, Phillida assembles the clues. Yet she is all too aware that the killer must still be close at hand and poised to strike again, and only Phillida's wits will prevent her own story from coming to an abrupt end. That was a lot for this much book. So I probably would wait until like it's been a while before I read this, just so I don't like have all that fresh in my memory, because that feels like too much might have been told. I don't know. But it's cool that it's like an Agatha Christie kind of thing. Okay, next up is one that I found in my little free library, and I wanted to check it out, and that is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. And this says, in a peaceful retirement village, 4 unlikely friends meet weekly in the Jigsaw Room to discuss unsolved crimes. Together they call themselves the Thursday Murder Club. When a local developer is found dead with a mysterious photograph left next to the body, the friends suddenly find themselves in the middle of their first live case. They might be senior citizens, but they are cleverer than most. As the bodies begin to pile up, can our unorthodox but brilliant gang catch the killer before it's too late? Okay, so the next 2 books are books that my book buddy of the month, for 2 months actually, purchased for me, but I gave them gift cards to pay for it, so they didn't have to actually pay for them, but they got to pick, and I was going to have to read the book. So the first one is 4 Aunties and a Wedding by Jessie Q. Satanto, and I have pulled up here on Goodreads book 1, which is Dial A for Aunties, and that says, what happens when you mix 1 accidental murder with 2 1,000 wedding guests, and then toss in a possible curse on 3 generations of an immigrant Chinese Indonesian family? You get 4 meddling Asian aunties coming to the rescue. When Madeline Chan ends up accidentally killing her blind date, her meddlesome mother calls for her even more meddlesome aunties to help get rid of the body. Unfortunately, a dead body proves to be a lot more challenging to dispose of than one might anticipate, especially when it's inadvertently shipped in a cake cooler to the over-the-top billionaire wedding Maddie, her ma, and aunties are working at an island resort on the California coastline. It's the biggest job yet for the family wedding business. Don't leave your big day to chance, leave it to the Chans. And nothing, not even an unsavory corpse, will get in the way of her auntie's perfect buttercream flowers. But things go from inconvenient to downright torturous when Meddy's great college love and biggest heartbreak makes a surprise appearance amid the wedding chaos. Is it possible to escape murder charges, charm her ex back into her life, and pull off a stunning wedding all in one weekend? And I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Okay, next up is Scarred by Emily McIntyre, which this is the sequel to Hooked, and it's a Never After novel. I think these can be read as standalones though, so I think I can read you what's on the back without spoiling anything from the first one. This says, she doesn't belong to him, she belongs to the crown. Prince Tristan Fassah was never destined for the throne. That was always his brother Michael, the same brother responsible for both Tristan's tormented childhood and the scar that mars his face. When their father dies, Michael is set to assume the throne, and Tristan is set to steal it. The leader of a secret rebellion, Tristan will stop at nothing to end his brother's reign, but when Michael's new betrothed, Lady Sarah Beatrow arrives, Tristan finds himself in the middle of a new kind of war, the kind that begs the question of what's more important, the crown or the woman about to wear it. Sarah has one plan: marry the king and eradicate the Fassah line, even at the risk of her own peril. But she never expects the scarred prince. He's dangerous, forbidden, and one of the men she's been sent to kill. But the line between hatred and passion has never seemed so thin. And as secrets come to light, Sarah grows unsure of whom she can trust, torn between vengeance and the villain she was never supposed to love. And this is a Lion King kind of retelling, or inspired by, not necessarily retelling, but inspired by. Okay, next are ones that were gifted to me. So this first one was gifted to me by one of my coffee patrons, Amanda, and she gifted me Read Between the Lines by Rachel Lacey. This says, "The next chapter is all up to them. Will it lead to a love story or a closed book? Books are Rosie Taft's life, and ever since she took over her mother's beloved Manhattan bookstore, they've become her home too. The only thing missing is her own real-life romance like the one she loves to read about. And Rosie has an idea of who she might like to sweep her off her feet. She struck up a flirty online friendship with lesbian romance author Bree, and what could be more romantic than falling in love with her favorite author? Jane Breslin works hard to keep her professional and personal lives neatly separated. By day, she works for the family property development business. By night, she puts her steamier side on paper under her pen name, Bree. Jane hasn't had much luck with her own love life, but her online connection with a loyal reader makes Jane wonder if she could be the one. When Rosie learns that her bookstore's lease has been terminated by Jane's family's business, romance moves to back burner. Even though they're at odds, there's no denying the sparks that fly every time they're together. When their online identities are revealed, will Jane be able to write her way to a happy ending, or is Rosie's heart a closed book?" I'm very excited for this one too. These three were all gifted to me by another one of my coffee patrons, Dana. So the first one is A Cruise to Murder, a Rachel Prince mystery by Dawn Brooks. And this says, "A Mediterranean cruise should be the perfect remedy for a broken-hearted young woman. Rachel Prince's best friend Sarah suggests she joins her on the cruise ship where she works as a nurse. It would be the ideal getaway, except there's a murderer on the loose. Rachel befriends a bereaved elderly woman, but is soon convinced something strange is going on. An ominous threat surrounds her new friend, Lady Marjorie Snelthrop. Who is the handsome but secretive Carlos, and what is he up to? Rachel finds herself attracted to him even though her suspicions about him grow. Has the broken engagement clouded her judgment? Events unfold, causing her to doubt herself, and when one of the passengers meets with a tragic accident, these doubts multiply. Rachel tries to relax and enjoy the holiday, but there seems to be danger around every corner. Is Marjorie in danger? Can Rachel solve the mystery?" Okay, the next one from Dana was Cinderella's Dress by Sona Slayton. This says, "On the home front in 1944, Kate Allen wants to do her part for the war effort. She'd prefer filling in for the window dressers at the New York department store where she works, but her mother keeps sending her on auditions for roles she never gets. When relatives arrive from war-torn Poland with a mysterious steamer trunk and an even more mysterious story, Kate's aunt, who is suffering from dementia, tries to convince Kate she is in line to be the next keeper of the wardrobe for Cinderella's family, the real Cinderella. If the family secret is true, this might be the most important role Kate has ever auditioned for. Will she get to the truth before it's forgotten? Cinderella's Dress is a fairy tale set in the world of department store modeling and window design, spotlighting the importance of family and tradition in a world of constant change." And then last in this stack is Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda. And this says, "We had no warning that she'd come back. Hollow's Edge used to be a quiet place, a private and idyllic neighborhood where neighbors dropped in on neighbors, celebrated graduations and holidays together, and looked out for one another. But then came the murders of Brandon and Fiona Truitt. A year and a half later, the town is simmering, the residents are trapped, unable to sell their homes, confronted daily by the empty Truitt house, and suffocated by their trial testimonies that implicated one of their own, Ruby Fletcher. And now Ruby's back. With her conviction overturned, Ruby waltzes right to Hollow's Edge and into the home she once shared with her friend Harper Nash. Harper, 5 years older, has always treated Ruby like a wayward younger sister. But now Harper's terrified. What possible good could come of Ruby's return to the scene of the crime? And how can she possibly turn her away when she knows Ruby has nowhere to go? Within days, suspicion spreads like a virus across the town. It's increasingly clear that not everyone told the truth about the night of the Truitt murders. And when Harper begins receiving threatening notes, she realizes she has to uncover the truth before someone else becomes the killer's next victim. Pulsating with suspense and the shocking twists that are Megan Miranda's trademark, Such a Quiet Place is her best novel yet. A twisty, locked box thriller that will keep you turning pages late into the night. Okay, next up are the books that I bought from Barnes & Noble when they had their 50% off sale. So the first one here is 9 Liars by Maureen Johnson. This is book 5 in the Truly Devious series. So I've pulled up book 1, which is called Truly Devious, on Goodreads. This says, Ellingham Academy is a famous private school in Vermont for the brightest thinkers, inventors, and artists. It was founded by Albert Ellingham, an early 20th century tycoon who wanted to make a wonderful place full of riddles, twisting pathways, and gardens. A place, he said, where learning is a game. Shortly after the school opened, his wife and daughter were kidnapped. The only real clue was a mocking riddle listing methods of murder, signed with a frightening pseudonym, Truly Devious. It became one of the greatest unsolved crimes of American history. True crime aficionado Stevie Bell is set to begin her first year at Ellingham Academy, and she has an ambitious plan. She will solve this cold case. That is, she will solve the case when she gets a grip on her demanding new school life and her housemates. The inventor, the novelist, the actor, the artist, and the jokester. But something strange is happening. Truly Devious makes a surprise return, and death revisits Ellingham Academy. The past has crawled out of its grave. Someone has gotten away with murder. The two interwoven mysteries of this first book in the Truly Devious series dovetail brilliantly, and Stevie Bell will continue her relentless quest for the murderers in books 2, 3, now 4, and 5. Next up is Honey and Spice by Baloo Babalola. And this says, introducing Baloo Babalola's vibrant debut novel full of passion, humor, and heart that centers on a young woman who has no interest in love and unexpectedly finds herself caught up in a fake relationship with the man she warned her girls about. Sharp-tongued and secretly soft-hearted, Kiki Banjo has just made a huge mistake. As an expert in relationship evasion and the host of the popular student radio show Brown Sugar, she's made it her mission to make sure the women of the African Caribbean Society at Whitewall College in southern England do not fall into the mess of situationships, players, and heartbreak. But when the queen of the unbothered kisses Malachi Correed, the guy she just publicly denounced as the waste man of Whitewell, in front of every Blackwellian on campus, she finds her show on the brink. They're soon embroiled in a fake relationship to try and salvage their reputations and save their futures. Kiki has never surrendered her heart before, and a player like Malachi won't be the one to change that, no matter how charming he is or how electric their connection feels. But surprisingly entertaining study sessions and intimate late-night talks at old-fashioned diners force Kiki to look beyond her own presumptions. Is she ready to open herself up to something deeper? A gloriously funny and sparking debut novel, Honey and Spice is full of delicious tension and romantic intrigue that will make you weak at the knees. Next up is The Last Party by Claire McIntosh. And this says, on New Year's Eve, Reese Lloyd has a house full of guests. His vacation homes on Mirror Lake are a success, and he's generously invited the village to drink champagne with their wealthy new neighbors. But by midnight, Reese will be floating dead in the freezing waters of the lake. On New Year's Day, Fifian Morgan has a village full of suspects. The tiny community is her home, so the suspects are her neighbors, friends, and family, and Fifian has her own secrets to protect. With a lie uncovered at every turn, soon the question isn't who wanted Reese dead, but who finally killed him. In a village with this many secrets, murder is just the beginning. Okay, before I tell you about the rest of these books, I need to change out my battery because it's flashing, so I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. Alright, so next up I have I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. And this says, a heartbreaking and hilarious memoir by iCarly and Salmon Cat star Jeanette McCurdy about her struggles as a former child actor, including eating disorders, addiction, and a complicated relationship with her overbearing mother, and how she retook control of her life. Jeanette McCurdy was 6 years old when she had her first acting audition. Her mother's dream was for her only daughter to become a star, and Jeanette would do anything to make her mother happy. So she went along with what Mom called calorie restriction, eating little and weighing herself 5 times a day. She endured extensive at-home makeovers while Mom chided, "Your eyelashes are invisible, okay?" You think Dakota Fanning doesn't tint hers? She was even showered by Mom until age 16 and was also forced to share her diaries, email, and her entire income. "I'm glad my mom died," Jeanette McCurdy recounts all of this in an unflinching detail, just as she chronicles what happened when the dream finally becomes true. Cast in a new Nickelodeon series called iCarly, she is thrust into fame. Though Mom is ecstatic, emailing fan club moderators and getting on a first-name basis with the paparazzi. Hi, Gail! Jeanette is riddled with anxiety, shame, and self-loathing, which manifests into eating disorders, addiction, and a series of unhealthy relationships. These issues only get worse when, soon after taking the lead in the iCarly spinoff, Sam and Cat, alongside Ariana Grande, her mother dies of cancer. Finally, after discovering therapy and quitting acting, Jeanette embarks on recovery and decides, for the first time in her life, what she really wants. Told with refreshing candor and dark humor, I'm Glad My Mom Died is an inspiring story of resilience, independence, and the joy of shampooing your own hair. Einstein's trying to get me to play tug of war while I'm doing this. Okay, next up is The Last Laugh by Mindy McGinnis. This is the sequel to The Initial Insult, and I've pulled that up on Goodreads. Welcome to Amontillado, Ohio, where your last name is worth more than money and secrets can be kept for a price. Tress Monter knows that her family used to mean something until she didn't have a family anymore. When her parents disappeared 7 years ago while driving her best friend home, Tress lost everything. She might still be a Montour, but the entire town shuns her now that she lives with her drunken one-eyed grandfather at what locals refer to as the White Trash Zoo, a wild animal attraction featuring a zebra, a chimpanzee, and a panther, among other things. Felicity Tornado has it all: looks, money, and a secret that she's kept hidden. She knows that one misstep could send her tumbling from the top of the social ladder, and she's worked hard to make everyone forget that she was with the Montours the night they disappeared. Felicity has buried what she knows so deeply that she can't even remember what it is, only that she can't look at Tress without having a panic attack. But she'll have to. Tress has a plan. A Halloween costume party at an abandoned house provides the ideal situation for Tress to pry the truth from Felicity, brick by brick, as she slowly seals her former best friend into a coal chute. With a drunken party above them and a loose panther on the prowl, Tress will have her answers or settle for revenge. Okay, next up is Never Ever Getting Back Together by Sophie Gonzalez. Such a cute book. It's got a little rose on it. This says, when their now famous ex-boyfriend asked them to participate in a teen reality show, two 18-year-old girls, one bent on revenge, the other open to rekindling romance, get tangled up in an unexpected twist when they fall for each other instead. It's been 2 years since Maya's ex-boyfriend cheated on her, and she still can't escape him. His sister married the crown prince of a minor European country, and he captured hearts as her charming younger brother. If the world only knew the real Geordie, the manipulative liar who broke Maya's heart. Sky Kaplan was always cautious with her heart until Geordie said all the right things and earned her trust. Now his face is all over the media, and Sky is still wondering why he stopped calling. When Maya and Sky are invited to star on the reality dating show Second Chance Romance, they're whisked away to a beautiful mansion along with 4 more of Geordie's exes to compete for his affections while the whole world watches. Sky wonders if she and Geordie can recapture the spark she knows they had, but Maya has other plans, exposing Geordie and getting revenge. As they navigate the competition, Sky and Maya discover that their real happily ever after is nothing they could have scripted. This sounds so good. Well, these all sound so good, but... Okay, next up is The Book Eaters by Sunny Dean. And this one says, out on the Yorkshire moors lives a secret line of people for whom books are food, and who retain all of the book's contents after eating it. To them, spy novels are a peppery snack. Romance novels are sweet and delicious. Eating a map can help them remember destinations, and children, when they misbehave, are forced to eat dry, musty pages from dictionaries. Devon is part of the family, an old and reclusive clan of book eaters. Her brothers grew up feasting on stories of valor and adventure, and Devon, like all book eater women, was raised on a carefully curated diet of fairy tales and cautionary stories. But real life doesn't always come with happy endings, as Devon learns when her son is born with a rare and darker kind of hunger. Not for books, but for human minds. Next is How to Survive Your Murder by Danielle Valentine. And this one says, Alice Lawrence is the sole witness in her sister's murder trial. And in the years since Claire's death, Alice's life has completely fallen apart. Her parents have gotten divorced, she's moved into an apartment that smells like bologna, and she's being forced to face her sister's killer and a courtroom full of people who doubt what she saw in the corn maze a year prior. Claire was an all-American girl, beautiful and bubbly, and a theater star. Alice was a nerd who dreamed of becoming a forensic pathologist and who would rather stay at home and watch her favorite horror movies than party. Despite their differences, they were best friends, bonded by sisterhood, until Claire was taken away from her. On the first day of the murder trial, as Alice prepares to give her testimony, she is knocked out by a Sidney Prescott look-alike in the courthouse bathroom. When she wakes up, it's Halloween night a year earlier, the same day Claire was murdered. Alice has until midnight to save her sister and find the real killer before he claims another victim. Okay, and then we have this stack of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 books that I pre-ordered. Alright, first off is The Drift by C.J. Tudor. And this says, an overturned coach full of students. All of them are trapped. A stranded cable car full of strangers. One of them is dead. An isolated chalet full of friends. Soon they'll be enemies. Outside, a snowstorm rages. Inside each group, a killer lurks. But that's not their only problem. Why is no rescue coming? What are they trying to escape from? And who are the terrifying whistlers? A locker room mystery, a dystopian thriller, a nail-shredding horror, one terrifying conclusion. Alright, next up is You Should Have Told Me by Lee Conan. And this says, when Janie and Max welcomed their newborn daughter, they hoped life would be complete. But 6 weeks in, Janie is sleep-deprived and struggling to adjust. She relies on Max more than ever, until the night he doesn't come home. Alone with her baby and desperate for answers, Janie searches for Max. But when a woman's body is found, his disappearance raises serious alarms. For Janie and for the police. The harder she looks for him, the more Janie realizes how much Max has been hiding. The harder she looks for him, the more Janie realizes how much Max has been hiding. And when it becomes clear he's the prime suspect in the murder, Janie faces an awful question. How much does she really know about the man she loves? Okay, I need a second to get something to drink because that's been a lot of talking. Yeah, hold on. Okay. Alright, next up we have The Wrong Kind of Weird by James Ramos. And this says, Cameron Carson has a secret with the power to break apart his friend group. Cameron Carson, member of the Geeks and Nerds United, GANU, club, has been secretly hooking up with student council president, cheerleader, theater enthusiast, and all-around queen bee, Carla Ortega, since the summer. The one problem, what was meant to be a summer fling between coffee shop co-workers, has now evolved into a clandestine senior year entanglement, where Carla isn't intending on blending their friend groups anytime soon, or at all. Enter Mackenzie Briggs, who isn't afraid to be herself or wear her heart on her sleeve. When Cameron finds himself unexpectedly bonding with Mackenzie and repeatedly snubbed in public by Carla, he starts to wonder who he can truly consider a friend, and who might have the potential to become more. Next is Loathe to Love You by Allie Hazelwood. This is a collection of steamy STEMinist novellas. Mara, Sadie, and Hannah are friends first, scientists always. Though their fields of study might take them to different corners of the world, they can all agree on this universal truth. When it comes to love and science, opposites attract, and rivals will make you burn. Under one roof, an environmental engineer discovers the scientists should never cohabitate when she finds herself stuck with a roommate from hell, a detestable big oil lawyer who won't leave the thermostat alone. Stuck with You, a civil engineer and her nemesis take their rivalry and love to the next level when they get stuck in a New York elevator. Below Zero, a NASA aerospace engineer's frozen heart melts as she lies injured and stranded at a remote Arctic research station, and the only person willing to undertake the dangerous rescue mission is her longtime rival. Next up is A Tale of Two Princes, God Save the Queers by Eric Guerin. And this says, Edward Dennison leads a charmed life. He's the crown prince of Canada, gets the royal treatment at his exclusive private school, and resides in a ritzy mansion. He thrives off being the perfect prince as he prepares for the investiture ceremony on his 18th birthday, the final step in his role as heir and Canada's future king. But this closeted crown prince has just one tiny problem. He's unsure how to tell his parents, his expectant country, and his adoring fans that he is gay. Billy Boone should be happy with the simple life. His family's ranch is his favorite place in the world. He loves his small town, and his boyfriend is the cutest guy at Little Timber High. So why does he feel like something's still missing? Maybe it has to do with the fact that this proud and out cowboy feels destined for something more. When Edward and Billy meet by chance in New York City, they discover that they are long-lost twins, and their lives are forever changed. Will these twinses be able to take on high school, coming out, and coronations together? Or will this royal reunion quickly become a royal disaster? Next up is Begin Again by Emma Lord. This says, Andy Rose has a plan. Transfer from community college to the competitive Blue Ridge State, major in psychology, and become an iconic self-help figure. All it will take is ruthless organization and her trademark unrelenting enthusiasm to pull it together. But the moment Andy arrives, her plan goes off the rails. Her boyfriend is MIA, and she's met Milo, who's disrupting all her ideas about love one wisecrack at a time. And when her dreams of following in her much-missed mother's footsteps seem to falter at the first hurdle, Andy learns that the best laid plans are not necessarily the right ones. An unforgettable novel of love and starting again. Then I have How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. And this says, New York Times bestselling author Grady Hendrix takes on the haunted house in a thrilling new novel that explores the way your past and your family can haunt you like nothing else. When Louise finds out that her parents have died, she dreads going home. She doesn't want to have to leave her daughter with her ex and fly to Charleston. She doesn't want to deal with her family home, stuffed to the rafters with the remnants of her father's academic career and her mother's lifelong obsession with puppets and dolls. She doesn't want to learn how to live without the two people who knew and loved her best in the world. Most of all, she doesn't want to deal with her brother Mark, who never left their hometown, gets fired from one job after another, and resents her success. Unfortunately, she'll need his help to get the house ready for sale, because it'll take more than some new paint on the walls and clearing out a lifetime of memories to get this place on the market. But some houses don't want to be sold, and Louise and Mark's home has other plans for both of them. Like his novel, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and The Final Girl Support Group, How to Sell a Haunted House is classic Hendrix, equal parts heartfelt and terrifying. It's a gripping new read from the horror master. So excited. Okay, only 6 more to go. Next we have 7% of Roe Devereaux by Ellen O'Clover. And this one says, Roe Devereaux can predict your future. At least the app she built for her senior project can. Inspired by the game MASH that she played as a kid, Roe's app can predict details about your life with 93% accuracy. where you'll live and what your career will be. It can even match you with your soulmate. When MASH goes viral, an app developer swoops in to partner with Ro. It's her dream come true until she's matched with Miller, her ex-best friend and the person who hates her most in the world. Ro knows the code works. After all, she wrote it herself. But she and Miller haven't spoken in 3 years, so how can he be her match? Ro will do anything for MASH to succeed, including fake dating Miller, no matter what it costs them. But as MASH takes on a life of its own, Ro realizes it's affecting people more than she could ever have expected. If she can't regain control, MASH might take her and everything she believes in down with it. With a masterful, slow-burn romance at its core, this gorgeous and emotional debut novel explores the true cost of chasing your dreams. Next up we have As You Walk On by Julian Winters. And this says, A Night to Remember. 17-year-old Theo Wright has it all figured out. His plan, well, more like his dad's plan, is a foolproof strategy that involves excelling at his magnet school, getting scouted by college recruiters, and going to Duke on athletic scholarship. But for now, all Theo wants is a perfect prom night. After his best friend Jay dares him to prompose to his crush at Chloe Campbell's party, Theo's ready to throw caution to the wind and take his chances. But when the promposal goes epically wrong, Theo takes refuge in an empty bedroom while the party rages on downstairs. Having an existential crisis about who he really is with and without his so-called best friend wasn't on tonight's agenda. Though as the night goes on, Theo finds he's not as alone as he thinks when one by one new classmates join him to avoid who they're supposed to be outside the bedroom door. Among them, a familiar acquaintance, a quiet outsider, an old friend, and a new flame. Next up is X's and O's by Amy Lee. And this says, Tara Chen has had her heart broken 10 times by 10 different men. Nevertheless, she is still determined to find her perfect match. The only problem? Tara is a romance novel obsessive and her standards are sky high. Modern dating apps have killed the meet cute, so Tara decides to revisit her exes in the hope of finding her very own trope-worthy second chance romance. And every heroine needs a sidekick, so she enlists her new flatmate, firefighter Trevor. Trevor Metcalf is the first to rush into a burning building, but the last to rush into a relationship. Love just isn't his thing. But the more time they spend together, the more Trevor appreciates Tara's authentic, dramatic self. Can they break the habits of a lifetime and give their spark a chance? Then I have Breaking All the Rules by Amy Andrews. And this says, sometimes you gotta toss your whole life into a burning dumpster to find out what's most important. Beatrice Archer has always done everything she's supposed to. Worked her ass off, ignored her non-existent personal life, and kept her mouth shut. Now she's over it. The rat race, respectability, the underwire bras. She's taking her life back, starting with moving to nowhere, Colorado, to live life on her own terms. Now, B gives exactly 0 forks. Beer for breakfast, sugar on everything else, baggy sweats, and soft cotton undies for the win. Then a much younger and delightfully attractive cop is called to deal with her flagrant disregard of appropriate clothing outside the local diner. Some folks just don't appreciate bunny slippers. And B realizes there's something missing from her little decathlon of decadence, and he might be the guy to help her out. When it comes to breaking rules, Officer Austin Cooper is surprisingly eager to assist. He's charming, a little bit cowboy, and a whole lot sexy. But B's about to discover that breaking the rules has consequences, and all of the cherry pies in Colorado can't save her from what's coming. So cute. Next up is Georgie All Along by Kate Claiborne. And this says, in this heartfelt tale of one woman's quest to reinvent herself, the acclaimed author of Love Lettering and Love at First delivers a poignant, witty reflection on how the hopes, dreams, and stories from our past shape our future. Longtime personal assistant Georgie Mulcahy has made a career out of putting others before herself. When an unexpected upheaval sends her away from her hectic job in LA and back to her hometown, Georgie must confront an uncomfortable truth. Her own wants and needs have always been a disconcertingly blank page. But when Georgie comes across a forgotten artifact, a friendific diary she wrote as a teenager filled with possibilities she once imagined, to an overwhelmed Georgie, the diary's simple, small-scale ideas are a lifeline, a guidebook for getting started on a new path. Georgie's plans hit a snag when she comes face to face with an unexpected roommate, Levi Fanning, one-time town troublemaker and current town hermit. But this quiet, grouchy man is more than just his reputation, and he offers to help Georgie with her quest. As the two make their way through her wish list, Georgie begins to realize that what she truly wants might not be in the pages of her diary after all, but right by her side, if only they can both find a way to let go of the past that hold them back. Honest and deeply emotional, Georgie all along is a smart, tender must-read for everyone who's ever wondered about the life that got away. Oh, love it. And then last, but certainly not least, is Do I Know You by Emily Wibberley and Austin Segman-Broca. This says, when a couple starts to feel like they're married to a stranger, a flirtatious game of pretend becomes the spark they need to reignite the relationship. Eliza and Graham are anticipating an anything but sexy week-long getaway to celebrate their 5-year anniversary. Nestled on the Northern California coastline, the resort prides itself on being a destination for those in love and those looking to find it. For Eliza and Graham, they might as well be on vacation with a roommate. When a well-meaning guest mistakes Eliza and Graham as being single and introduces them at the hotel bar, they don't correct him. Suddenly, they're pretending to be perfect strangers, and it's unexpectedly fun. Eliza and Graham find themselves flirting like it's their first date and waiting with butterflies in their stomach for the other to text back. Everyone at the retreat can sense the electric chemistry between Eliza and Graham. But when their scintillating game of role-playing ends, will they still feel the heat? So cute. Okay, so those are all 30 books that I acquired this month. Have you guys read any of them? Did you like them? Did you not? Comment down below and let me know. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye.